June 16, 2014. It started like hundreds of other storm days across America's Great Plains. Families went to work. Children played outside. Farmers looked toward the sky and saw nothing unusual. But nearly 10 kilometers above them, the atmosphere was quietly assembling one of the most violent weather events modern meteorologists had ever witnessed. Within hours, a tornado would become two. Those two tornadoes would grow into twin EF4 monsters, spinning side by side, moving toward the small Nebraska town of Pilger. Some storm chasers called it impossible. Others said it looked like the end of the world. By sunset, more than 75% of an entire town would be destroyed. 4 violent tornadoes, 1 supercell, and a day that forever changed tornado science. This is the story of the most insane day in tornado history. Part 1. A perfect atmospheric monster. Nature doesn't need anger. It only needs the right ingredients. On June 16th, the atmosphere over Nebraska became almost unbelievably unstable. Warm, moisture-rich air surged north from the Gulf of Mexico. Dry desert air pushed east. Cold air descended from the Rocky Mountains. Each layer collided, like invisible tectonic plates in the sky. Meteorologists watched one number rise, then keep rising. CAPE, convective available potential energy. Think of it as gasoline for thunderstorms. A normal severe weather day might produce values around 2,000 joules per kilogram. That afternoon, parts of Nebraska exceeded 6,000. Even veteran forecasters rarely witness numbers this extreme. Every weather model, every radar, every forecast discussion pointed toward one conclusion. If a storm formed, it wouldn't stay ordinary for long. And then, one did. Part 2. The first giant awakens. Near Stanton, Nebraska, a rotating thunderstorm began tightening. At first, it looked harmless, a small rotating cloud, nothing extraordinary. But within minutes, the sky transformed. The funnel widened, dust exploded upward, power poles snapped, entire farmsteads disappeared. The tornado kept growing and growing until it became an EF4 giant. Winds likely exceeded 170 miles per hour. Vehicles became toys, steel twisted, homes simply vanished. Storm chasers, many with decades of experience, could barely believe what they were seeing. But something even stranger was already happening. Behind the first tornado, another circulation was forming, and this one was heading toward Pilger. Part 3. The town in its path. Pilger wasn't a famous city, just a quiet Nebraska town with fewer than 400 residents. People knew each other. Children rode bicycles through quiet streets. Life moved slowly. That afternoon, emergency warnings spread quickly. Some residents rushed into basements. Others tried escaping by car. Then the sky turned black. Not dark, black. The roar grew louder than freight trains. Windows exploded inward. Roofs lifted into the air. Entire buildings shattered in seconds. The tornado entered town at full EF4 intensity. Nothing in its direct path survived. Part 4. When the impossible happened. Most tornado outbreaks involve multiple storms, but Pilger became famous for something almost never seen. 2 violent tornadoes from the same storm, existing at the same time. Twin EF4 tornadoes side by side, massive rotating columns moving across the Nebraska landscape together. Satellite tornadoes sometimes occur. Smaller tornadoes can orbit larger ones, but this wasn't that. These were 2 separate violent tornadoes, each powerful enough to destroy an entire town. Storm chasers watched in disbelief. Some forgot to speak, others simply stared, because no camera could fully capture what stood before them. Part 5. The convergence. Then the atmosphere did something even stranger. The twin tornadoes began interacting. As they moved, their circulations influenced one another, sometimes drifting apart, sometimes pulling closer. To anyone watching, it looked almost alive, like 2 enormous predators circling before collision. Weather scientists still study this event today, because tornado interactions this intense remain incredibly rare. For storm chasers, it became the footage of a lifetime. For Pilger, it became the worst day in its history. Part 6. After the storm. When the winds finally stopped, silence replaced chaos. The town was almost unrecognizable. Entire neighborhoods no longer existed. Schools, churches, businesses, gone. More than 75% of Pilger suffered severe destruction. Lives were lost. Families changed forever. Yet incredibly, the storm wasn't finished. The same supercell would produce 4 separate EF4 tornadoes during a single afternoon, an extraordinarily rare sequence. Meteorologists spent years studying radar data. Engineers examined damage. Researchers analyzed storm evolution frame by frame. Because this wasn't just another tornado. It became one of the most important severe weather case studies ever recorded. Conclusion. The Pilger tornado outbreak reminds us of something easy to forget. For all our satellites, our supercomputers, our forecasting models, nature still has the power to surprise us. A small town, one afternoon, 4 violent tornadoes, twin EF4 monsters, and a storm that rewrote what scientists thought they knew. Some disasters become headlines, others become history. But June 16, 2014, became both, because on that day, the sky didn't simply produce a tornado. It produced one of the most extraordinary tornado events ever witnessed on Earth. If this story changed the way you think about nature's power, subscribe for more documentaries uncovering the world's most extraordinary disasters, engineering failures, and historical events.